Get ready to explore the frozen wonders of our world with these mind-blowing discoveries that will leave you in awe. From the head of an ancient wolf, frozen in time, to finding a treasure trove buried in ice, we have tales that span continents and centuries. Each discovery not only reveals historical mysteries, but also provides insight into the resilience of life and the secrets kept by ice. So buckle up and join us on this thrilling journey through time and ice. Let's dive in. Number 1. Century-old negatives. In 2013, while the Antarctic Heritage Trust of New Zealand was busy with conservation efforts at Scott's Hut in Antarctica, they stumbled upon something truly remarkable. They discovered a box of negatives. When these negatives were sent back to New Zealand, carefully separated and digitized, they turned out to be photos from the Ross Sea Party. The Ross Sea Party, full of struggle, heartbreak and resilience, was a century-old mission that departed from Australia in December 1914 on a vessel called the Aurora. Their task was to support Ernest Shackleton, the famous Anglo-British explorer, in his attempt to be the first to walk across the Antarctic continent by laying down food and supplies for the last leg of Shackleton's journey. The mission was far from smooth. They faced equipment failures, lost 10 of their sled dogs, and then the Antarctic winter trapped the Aurora in an ice floe, leaving 10 members stranded on shore. After 6 months, the Aurora broke free, but was forced to return to New Zealand for repairs instead of getting to the stranded crew. Despite being stranded without their ship, the 10 men continued their mission and stayed at Scott's Hut. Tragically, this mission turned out to be unnecessary because Shackleton's ship had already sunk on the other side of Antarctica, and the crossing attempt was abandoned. The negatives they left behind now serve as a time capsule, offering a glimpse into their story. The Aurora did return to rescue the stranded men on January 1917, but by then, 3 men had already lost their lives. These rediscovered photos connect us to Ross Sea Party's incredible resilience and hardships, reminding us of their determined spirit in the face of overwhelming challenges. Number 2. Lady of Ampato. On September 2, 1995, American archaeologist Johann Reinhard and Peruvian mountaineer Miguel Zarate embarked on a research expedition to the Ampato volcano in southern Peru. During their ascent, they discovered a bundle that had fallen from the summit. What they found inside was completely unexpected: the frozen body of a young girl wrapped in colorful aksu with a cap made of red macaw feathers on her head. Upon investigation, researchers determined that this mummy was a girl aged between 12 and 15 who had been sacrificed over 500 years ago in an Inca ritual. Her body, left deep in the glaciers, was perfectly preserved with intact tissues, organs, and even blood cells. Before this discovery, there was no concrete evidence of the Incas sacrificing young women in their rituals. This find provided crucial evidence of the Capacocha ritual, where the Incas offered virgin maidens to their gods to calm Pachamama, prevent natural disasters, and ensure a good harvest. Forensic analysis revealed that she had been killed by a blow to the head, a common method of sacrifice at the time, along with being buried alive. She is one of the best preserved mummies found in the Andes mountain range. In 2023, scientists used scans of her skull and DNA testing to construct a silicone model of how she likely looked at the time of her death. This discovery provides an incredible look into the past, deepening our understanding of Inca society and sacrificial customs. Number 3. Lost and found. Since humans began dominating the skies, history has recorded numerous aircraft disappearing, some never to be seen again, and some discovered decades later, like SATA Flight 232. On August 15, 1976, Flight 232 took off from Quito, the capital of Ecuador, bound for the city of Cuenca. with 50 passengers and 4 crew members aboard. At the 21-minute mark, the pilot reported flying over the city of Ambato at 18,000 feet. Shortly after, the air traffic controller lost contact, and when the plane didn't arrive at its destination, a search began. Based on the last recorded coordinates, it was concluded that the plane must have crashed somewhere in the mountain range near Ambato. Emergency search efforts, both land and aerial, scoured the area. For weeks, search teams combed the mountains and the planned flight route, but found no trace of the plane. Conspiracy theories emerged, ranging from alien abduction to a Bermuda Triangle-like phenomenon in Ecuador. These theories were finally put to rest 26 years later when a group of mountaineers exploring a new path to the summit of Chimborazo volcano spotted metal debris protruding from the snow. Upon closer inspection, they discovered more aircraft wreckage and frozen bodies. Investigators confirmed the identity of Flight 230 TWP through ID cards and newspapers found at the crash site, solving the mystery and providing long-awaited closure for the families. Due to the difficult terrain, the crash site still contains debris from the plane and is now considered a graveyard, with bodies frozen in time. Number 4. Skeleton Lake. Wrapped in mystery at a height of somewhat over 5,000 meters in the Himalayas, surrounded by rocky glaciers and snow-clad mountains, lies Rupkund Lake, better known as Skeleton Lake. This place is as spooky as it sounds. Although locals were aware of it, the skeletons in the lake were first discovered by a forest ranger in 1942. And if you don't know, that is during World War II era, so the British authorities initially suspected that these might be the remains of Japanese soldiers attempting an invasion. But when they checked out the bones, they realized these weren't recent at all. So who were these people, and how did they end up here? Well, apart from various local legends, no one knows for sure. One popular story involves a king, his wife, and their servants, who were supposedly caught in a hailstorm while on a pilgrimage to Nanda Devi, the second highest peak in India and a manifestation of Parvati, a supreme goddess in Hinduism. The legend says that Nanda Devi punished them with the storm because the king and queen were partying too hard with dancing girls, which was seen as disrespectful. It was long thought that these bones of more than 300 different people found at the lake died in the same event. But carbon dating showed they actually died over a span of 1,000 years, in 3 different groups. Despite this, a hailstorm still seems likely, as many skeletons show head injuries. Most of the time, the bones stay frozen in the ice, becoming visible only during the brief summer when the lake thaws. Tourists have even piled some of the bones outside the lake. Number 5. Viking artifacts. Archaeologists found a lot of treasures scattered over the ground, emerging from the melting Lendbreen Glacier in Norway. Though the pass was busiest during the Viking era, the discovery of various tools suggests that people might have used this route as far back as 6,000 years ago. Let's take a closer look at some of these amazing finds. In 2011, during an early survey of the Lendbreen ice patch, a woolen tunic was found that dates back to the 3rd or 4th century. It's the oldest piece of clothing ever discovered in Norway, and amazingly, it wasn't just a fragment, but a complete tunic. Since then, the site has been a race against time for archaeologists to save artifacts that emerge well preserved from the ice but can quickly deteriorate once exposed to air. To make the 6,000-meter descent quick and smooth, Vikings used skis, as proved by a 1,300-year-old pair found in 2 parts, one in 2014 and the other in 2021, complete with bindings and in top-notch condition for something so old. Other significant discoveries include a 1,500-year-old scaring stick used for reindeer hunting and a 1,000-year-old iron horse bit with a preserved bridle, along with more than 1,000 other artifacts. While almost all of this ice patch has melted, revealing everything it kept hidden for centuries, there's still plenty of ice left in the world holding unknown treasures. But maybe it's better we never find out. Number 6. Wolf Head. In summer of 2018, mammoth tusk hunters were exploring the shores of the Tirektiak River in Serbia when they stumbled upon something which didn't belong to a woolly mammoth, but probably had the ability to take one on: a perfectly preserved head of a steppe wolf, an extinct species of wolves. This was the first discovery of its kind, where a partial part of a steppe wolf's corpse was found. It was dated to be 32,000 years old. The head belonged to a fully grown wolf, estimated to be around 3 years old and measured 15.7 inches long. This suggests that these ancient wolves were larger than their modern descendants, whose heads typically measure between 9 and 11 inches. The head was exceptionally well preserved, featuring a snout with fangs and clumps of fur, leading some to speculate about a deliberate beheading by humans. But there is no evidence to back up this theory. Given its age, it's likely that the body broke into pieces over time, with the head being preserved in the permanently frozen layer of the earth while the body decomposed or was eaten by scavengers. Steppe wolves, known for their broad jaws and powerful teeth, were capable of hunting giants like mammoths and rhinos. They are believed to have gone extinct between 20,000 to 30,000 years ago, around the same time modern wolves appeared. This discovery opens up the possibility of studying their DNA to understand what might have caused their extinction and what they lacked in terms of adapting to changing environments. Number 7. Endurance. The period from 1897 to 1922 is known as the heroic age of Antarctic exploration. During this time, 17 major expeditions to the coldest and windiest continent were launched by 10 different countries. By 1911, the race to reach the South Pole had ended with Norwegian explorer Roald Amundsen's success. This made Ernest Shackleton decide to attempt a sea-to-sea crossing of Antarctica via the South Pole. Yes, this is the same mission for which the Ross Sea Party went to Antarctica to lay down supplies. Shackleton and his crew boarded the Endurance, departing from British waters on August 8, 1914, aiming for Vassal Bay. However, the mission didn't go as smoothly as Shackleton had hoped. The Endurance got stuck in drift ice deep in the Weddell Sea on January 19, 1915. Despite this, Shackleton remained hopeful to make it to Vassal Bay after the ship was free in the spring. Those hopes were dashed in October when water began pouring in, and the crew had to abandon ship as the Endurance sank. They set up camp on the ice, and all were rescued. More than a century later, on March 5, 2022, explorers discovered the Endurance with the help of new undersea robots. It was found at a depth of roughly 10,000 feet in remarkably well-preserved condition. The freezing temperatures of the ocean beneath Antarctica kept the 144-foot ship almost as it was when it sank, with visible paintwork, bolts, and even the inscription "Endurance" on the stern. This historical discovery provides a glimpse into the life of the Endurance crew who embarked on this brave mission. Number 8. Mont Blanc treasure. At some point in our lives, we have all fantasized about stumbling upon hidden treasure, right? Well, for this French climber exploring the Alpine Glacier on Mont Blanc, the childhood dream became a reality when he came across a box filled with emeralds, rubies, and sapphires. Many people in his position might have quietly pocketed the bounty, but this climber, showing great integrity, decided to inform the police and hand over the treasure. Investigations revealed that these gems possibly belonged to a passenger aboard the Malabar Princess, an Air India flight that crashed on Mont Blanc in 1950 killing everyone on board. French authorities tried to contact India to trace the families of the crash victims and return the jewels to their rightful owners, but were unsuccessful. 6 years later, in July 2019, the treasure, valued at over $330,000, was divided into 2 equal lots. One was given to the honest climber, and the other was kept by the local authority of Chamonix, France. Do you think the climber did the right thing? Number 9. Martian meteorite. Rovers on Mars are on the hunt for signs of ancient life, and scientists are developing methods to bring back collected samples to Earth. While we don't yet have the technology to do this, the universe sometimes makes things easier for us. One big asteroid impact on Mars sent hundreds of Martian rocks hurtling toward Earth, and one of them landed in Antarctica. This Martian meteorite, discovered by a team of American meteorite hunters in 1985, weighs 4.3 pounds and was named Allen Hills 84001 after the Allen Hills region in Antarctica where it was found. It didn't attract much attention until 1996, when electron microscope results showed features that were claimed to be fossilized remains of bacteria like life forms. Further investigation revealed that this alien rock is one of the oldest Martian meteorites found on Earth. It formed around 4.1 billion years ago when there was still liquid water on Mars. The rock is believed to have been ejected from Mars about 17 million years ago after an impact event and landed on Earth around 13,000 years ago. So, while we have been searching for ancient life on Mars, the universe actually had potential evidence preserved for us in Antarctic ice all along. Number 10. Yucca mammoth. When you think of the Ice Age, giant mammoths probably come to mind first, right? So, isn't it fitting that one of these majestic creatures was found perfectly preserved in ice? Along the Oryogos Yar coast in Siberia, local villagers from Yucca struck gold in August 2010 when they discovered the world's best preserved woolly mammoth. They handed it over to scientists who named it Yucca in honor of the villagers' remarkable find. The scientists were thrilled to receive this ancient mummy, estimated to date back around 39,000 years. Thanks to the extreme cold of the Siberian region, Yucca was incredibly well preserved, with not just bones, but skin, muscles, and even internal organs intact. This exceptional state of preservation allows scientists to study and understand mammoth biology, behavior, and the factors that led to their extinction in much greater depth. If you're wondering why this natural mummy is not as massive as mammoths are depicted in studies and movies, you might be surprised to learn that Yucca is actually a calf, estimated to be just 3 or 4 years old at the time of death. Studying Yucca offers valuable insights into not only mammoths, but also the past climate and the impact of environmental changes. Number 11. Plane wreck and soldier. World War II not only transformed political boundaries, it also left an awful scar that cannot be wiped from modern history. Many stories from that terrible time have been forgotten, but as global temperatures rise and glaciers melt, some are coming to light again. One such story is that of Finnish-American aviation cadet Leo Mustonen. This 22-year-old disappeared during a training flight on November 18, 1942, with 3 others. Years later, the plane wreck was found in the Sierra Nevada mountains, but no bodies were recovered, leaving his story a mystery. Fast forward to 2005, when 2 ice climbers stumbled upon a partially buried body in ice and snow. Initially thinking it was another hiker who met a tragic end, they were astonished to discover a parachute attached to the body, marked with the old US Air Force insignia. The man in the World War II-era uniform had a missing leg and an unrecognizable face, making identification difficult. Authorities were notified, but with the nameplate corroded and records of over 50 missing flights in the area, it was a challenge to determine who he was. After months of investigation and forensic testing using hair and teeth, the body was identified as Leo Mustonen. He was finally given a proper funeral 60 years after his death. Number 12. Princess of Ukok. After decades of exploration, finding mummies preserved in ice isn't exactly a shocker anymore, but the Siberian Ice Maiden, discovered in a wooden coffin on the Ukok Plateau, is unlike any other mummy you have heard of. What sets her apart? This 25-year-old princess had tattoos. Unearthed from a tomb made of wooden logs dating back to the 5th century BC, the Ice Maiden gives us a peek into the lives of the Pazyryk people who roamed the steppes over 2,500 years ago. Her intricate tattoos show that these ancient folks had a thing for body art. Her discovery was a massive archaeological find for Russia, but the way she was buried with remains of executed horses and mutton sparked rumors of a curse. Some people even thought she should have stayed buried, especially after the region experienced droughts and other natural disasters. When COVID-19 hit and Altai had no cases for a long time, locals believed the mummy was protecting them. But the scientific investigation tells a sadder story. The Ice Maiden likely died from a combination of breast cancer and a fall from a horse, which happened because she was too weak from her illness. It was also revealed that she used a lot of cannabis to help with the pain caused by cancer. So, while the curse myths are captivating, the true story of the Siberian Ice Maiden is heartbreaking but also fascinating at the same time. Number 13. Dogor and Cave Bear. The discovery of mummified animals in the permafrost of Siberia has been a goldmine for scientific research. These finds include 50,000-year-old lion cubs and 35,000-year-old rhinos, acting like time capsules that give us a peek into our planet's past ecosystems. One of the cutest discoveries was made in 2018 when explorers unearthed an 18,000-year-old puppy, which they named Dogor, mummified in a position that looks like it was just taking a nap. Initially, scientists were unsure if this 2-month-old puppy was a wolf or a dog. However, by 2022, DNA analysis revealed it wasn't a wolf or a direct ancestor of modern dogs, prompting a re-evaluation of our understanding of canine ancestry. Dogor is so well preserved that its fur, whiskers, nose, and teeth are still intact. Although not all discoveries are as adorable, some are just straight-up scary. 2 years after Dogor was found, scientists unearthed the mummy of a bear, initially thought to be an extinct cave bear from 22,000 years ago. Further analysis revealed that they were wrong. Turns out, it was actually a 3,500-year-old brown bear. The investigations also revealed this was a young female around 3 years old who died from spinal injuries and was left frozen in ice with its skin, fur, teeth, nose, claws, body fat, and internal organs intact. Number 14. Mullins and Alien Lake. When glaciers melt on mountains, the water flows down and creates intricate river systems. But what happens when the whole continent is covered in ice? Where does the water go? The natural drainage system in such icy landscapes is quite fascinating. These drainage channels are called moulins, tunnels, or vertical shafts in the ice. They form when meltwater finds a crack and starts flowing downward, eroding the ice. Moulins can be as small as an anthill opening or big enough to fit a double-decker bus. Understanding moulins and how they distribute water beneath the ice surface is crucial. This is because the water might be lubricating the ice sheet's base, affecting its movement. If you thought the water collected in some kind of lake under the ice, you are in for another surprise. Lake Vostok, buried 4 kilometers beneath Antarctica's ice, is a freshwater lake. It has been isolated from the rest of the planet for millions of years. What kind of life might exist down there? We don't know for sure yet, as most of it remains largely unexplored. But if life is found, it could help us understand more about life on Earth and the potential for life in similar conditions on other icy worlds, like Jupiter's moon Europa. Number 15. Blood snow. Imagine you are hiking in the snowy Alpine Alps in hopes of getting some breathtaking views, and suddenly you come across what looks like blood spilled all over the snow. It's not blood, but the real cause is just as concerning. This eerie sight is undeniable proof of climate change and its impact on our ecosystem. These reddish-colored patches of snow are caused by algae, now referred to as snow blood. Interestingly, this algae is actually green. However, just like how we humans apply sunscreen, this algae accumulates a red pigment to protect itself from harmful sunlight. How exactly they do this is still a mystery that scientists are working to unravel. What's troubling is the rapid increase of these algae in the Alps, driven by rising global temperatures. Scientists are now racing to understand this phenomenon before it's too late. And that's a wrap on our journey through the icy secrets of our world. Tell me in the comments which one of these discoveries surprised you the most. Oh, and don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this coming your way. Until then, goodbye.